Well, my great technology expertise, I thought I had recorded more than to the end of my talk about Robert Kennedy and Tucker Carlson's interview. And then I had paused it for a minute so I could kind of figure out where I was going to go. And then I got through what I thought I was going to say, and I realized that I had never turned the camera back on. So now here's my second attempt to do a follow up on my talk about Robert Kennedy and Tucker Carlson's interview. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some books, start with books, and also many of these books, the authors also have a presence on the internet. So, I suggest you look them up on the internet and or read their books. But this first one is not an internet star, it's an older book. And I just threw this one in because I love these books. They're by James Herriot, and he is, I will put all these names and things in my description. So if you can't, I think the print is backwards. I'm sorry. I'm an old lady that doesn't know how to do technology very well. I'm going to have my grandkids splice this together. But the name of this one is The Lord God Made Them All by James Herriot. And he wrote more than four books, but there was a series of books, and the first one was All Creatures Great and Small, All Things Wise and Wonderful. There's another line in there, and then it ends with The Lord God Made Them All. And it's back to the kind of the nature thing that I was talking about, that Kennedy talked about, how important nature and the spiritual connection that we feel with nature. And James Herriot's books are marvelous because they're fun and entertaining, they're heartwarming, and you can see his love of both the people and the animals that he treats. So that's one book I recommend. Um, then here, the next one in my pile, which doesn't fit very orderly, but is totally different. This is a book by Alex Bernison. He used to be, I haven't seen a lot of him. Maybe I'm just not watching the right places, but he used to be on Fox News some, and he is married to a psychiatrist, and she's the one that woke him up to doing research about marijuana. And I'm been fighting marijuana and substance abuse for a long time because I've seen so much damage that's done to families and the individuals that use the drug, but also all their loved ones. It's just drug abuse has been so bad for this country. And marijuana is not a nice little drug that many people think it is. It's a very dangerous one. But his book is Tell Your Children the Truth About Marijuana and Mental Illness and Violence. Um, it was the first book that I really, well, it wasn't the first book, but it was one of the first books I've read about marijuana. I have about 8 different ones that I could recommend, but I'm going to start with this one because I think it's a good place to start. He, a lot of good research on the impact of marijuana. So, Tell Your Children by Alex Bernison. Okay, the next one is a person that is most of you should know about know about him, at least if you're in the United States, is Dr. Ben Carson. Brilliant, brilliant neurosurgeon, pediatric neurosurgeon, I believe. And his book is The Perilous Fight. And you can, if you look up Ben Carson, you probably can find him places online too. Um, but his book is, the subtitle is Overcoming Our Culture's War on the American Family. Love the family, think the importance of family is the foundation of our country. And I think Dr. Ben Carson would agree with that. Um, Fabulous book about how we need to do a better job of promoting family, and because it is a foundation of much in our country. So another great book. Then this is a person that my husband first told me about. Been around for a lot of years now. considered quite a controversial character because he is not afraid to stand up for what he thinks. This is Jordan B. Peterson. And his book is, well, he has more than this book, but this is one of the first ones I read of his, The 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos. And it's a great set of rules. Jordan Peterson is a psychologist, originally from Canada. He now travels all over the world. He is world famous and talks about all kinds of wonderful things. Brilliant. So you can find him on, he works with Daily Wires too, but he also just put his name in and you can find all kinds of wonderful videos by uh, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. Excellent. Okay, this next one is kind of a funny little book. It's called The Immigrant's Love Letter and in An Immigrant's Love Letter to the West. And I'm not sure how you say his name, Konstantin Kissen, and he has, you can find his present, he mentions his website or his channel often, and it's, oh, no, I'm not going to be able to say it. I should have looked it up before I start talking. But um, his An Immigrant's Love Letter to the West. Basically, he points out that too many people living in the West, we don't appreciate all the freedom and wonderful environment that we have. And um, he, so he's building that up after he moved. His parents sent him from Russia to England when he was 11 years old, where his grandfather had already escaped to because the mistreatment in Russia. But he contrasts between having real freedoms and the wonderful lives that we do in the West to the compared to communist countries. So very good book. The last author I'm going to mention is Victor Davis Hanson. And this book, it's one of many books that Victor Davis Hanson has written. He's a brilliant historian, so many good insights about history and how the world works. And this book, if you don't love Trump, I don't care because it is a good book. It may convince you that Trump is the person we want as for next book. The Case for Trump by Victor Davis Hanson. Look up Victor Davis Hanson as well as Jordan Peterson, the other ones I've mentioned, on the internet. Lots of good presentations by Victor Davis Hanson. And I recommend this book. I like it a lot. And then there's just, okay, there's just a few other people I really suggest you watch and look up on the internet. I'm sure there's more than these, but Dennis Prager or PragerU. And again, I'll put this in my commentary. PragerU is Prager and then a capital U. Again, my husband first told me about Dennis Prager and PragerU, and PragerU has so many good things. There's a lot of good things for parents on there. Dennis Prager is the main speaker, but he does a fireside chat, which is about half an hour, takes questions once a week, lots of good insights on all kinds of topics. And then they have the story of us, I think it's called, which are about short 5 or so minutes of people just telling their stories of where they got to where they're at. It can be famous people or not so famous, but very interesting life stories. Then Marissa, who's I think the CEO of PragerU, she does some wonderful interviews. She just did one with Peachy Keen, is what the woman calls herself. That isn't her real name, but she's written a book and she has a website. I'm not sure. Domestic Extremist is the name of the book, and I just read her book recently. So, but you can find Marissa's interviews on PragerU. Plus, there's other things. It's got lots of great information, 5-minute excerpts on all kinds of things. So highly recommend checking out PragerU. Ben Shapiro is also a very good one. Um, I think it's Daily Wire. I haven't watched as much of that, but lots of good things. I like Ben Shapiro. He's one of the fastest talkers you'll ever meet. Jordan Peterson talks pretty fast too, but their minds are so effective, I guess. Um, anyway, Ben Shapiro's another one. Tucker Carlson, love Tucker Carlson. He says it like it is. He gets great interviews. Thomas Sowell, who is a Black intellectual, absolutely brilliant. Thomas Sowell, been around forever. Also, you can find him on the internet. And Heather McDonald, look her up. She's got a lot of good things. And of course, Megyn Kelly. Okay, I didn't want this to get too long, so I'm going to stop now. That's all for now, for goodness sakes, from mean old Granny Anderson. Have a great life and check out these people. Thanks. Good night.